Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, between the matchup of Machi Esports and Taipei J-Team. We laid out how this series has been a long-time nemesis for J-Team, that they have fallen in the PCS era 0-3 to Machi both times. Now is their chance to crack the curse. Now is their chance. But we'll see if they can finally do it. I'm hopeful that they can. We will have to give a big thank you to our sponsors. First, of course, CTBC Bank, China Airlines, Chunghwa Telecom, and Caliber, last but not least. Coming back into this series right here, we have, again, J-Team going onto the red side, and I know you've been super critical about red side drafts. What do you want to see from them this time?
I'd like them to get some better picks. You know, the Lee Sin didn't exactly play very well. If they were able to execute around it, then I might say, hey, feel free to go straight back towards that pick. The Aphelios pick, while did well in lane, didn't have the tools to play the mid-late game team fights. He didn't have the protection, didn't have the peel needed to create space for him to just free fire. And you saw he was just pressured non-stop, that he, more often than not, wasn't able to get more than 2 or 3 auto attacks in. So perhaps more utility, which is probably not what J-Team fans want to hear, because again, this is probably the best 2v2 matchup that they possibly can have here. And it's probably also their best lane to play through. But fact of the matter is, when everyone's throwing resources topside from the side of Machi, you probably want to answer fire with fire, but they need to execute around those tools as well.
To sum it all up, basically, is actually use your red side counter pick for rest and mission. That's essentially what I'm hearing here, because that was not what J-Team did. J-Team just locked in the Camille and they're like, yeah, we don't care, it's fine. And they also locked in a very early LeBlanc too. So what I'm getting from you is basically, hey, at least try to get those counters in. Stay away from Lee Sin, because execution is not exactly your forte. I feel like Hana had an okay game on Lee Sin. Some of the team fights were kind of questionable, but in terms of execution, okay. This time around, though, the draft does change. We have Woody's Thresh unlocked. So does that change your stance on the Aphelios?
Well, the Thresh was also available in the previous game.
No, it was banned.
I believe it got banned in second phase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Machi, with the Viego taken off the board, they just instantly lock in the Diana, which makes sense. Gemini, pretty good on this champion, and J-Team, will see if the draft changes, if they do lock in a Lee Sin or an Aphelios here. It really should just be... I was gonna say Aphelios Thresh. Just get the Aphelios Thresh. You get protection for him. He can create space, and you know the Lee Sin isn't going to get denied from you here. But it is what it is, Clement.
Well, yep. We heard all of Nightstar's do's and don'ts, and those are already 2 don'ts from J-Team. So we'll see if the saving grace does come through, and they at least finally give Rest and Mission some better matchups. But we'll find out. Machi, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Going with the same picks. Maybe throwing the Yasuo in there. You know, not a lot of great answers against this champion. Lucian is on the board, however.
This is pretty early Yasuo pick if they go for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this one, honestly.
This would be very Machi-esque. The Irelia makes a lot more sense here, because you do have the flex power and does well into a LeBlanc if the LeBlanc does get locked in. I'm not seeing a whole lot of changes here from J-Team, Clement.
There are no changes.
I don't know why they decided red side game 2.
Yeah, I'm finding this kind of head scratchy as well, because they didn't do anything with Lee Sin LeBlanc. I think what J-Team are saying is that, okay, game 1 was a fluke. Game 1 only went the way it did because there was an early triple kill onto Viego. So if we take the Viego factor, our comp should still be fine. This is what J-Team are essentially saying. I'm not so sure I agree with it.
Yeah, that definitely could be what the coaching staff is saying. But I feel like the players are going to be also scratching their heads. It's like, Coach, are you sure LeBlanc's the pick here? I mean, I love my LeBlanc, but I already see an Irelia on the other side. Is this it?
To be fair,
apparently
they should still get the mid jungle priority. It's just the burst potential on the other side is kind of disgusting.
Once we hit mid game, it's going to be, I would say, even more terrifying than the previous game, as there's just a lot more upfront burst power. Yes, you're not getting the Vigo resets, but you could just die before. Whereas it was more of a 1-by-1 member falling down. It could just everyone being exploded at the same time this time around, and it will be Braum Thresh take it away. So once again, how do you keep this Ophelia alive and relevant in team fights, especially when this time around Machi, instead of going for more range, they're just pretty all in on diving you.
Yeah, I think Rakan probably... Oh, Rel is a pretty good answer here as well. Does have that Magnet Storm to keep everyone away from the backline. And at least this time they are saving counter pick for rest. So, I guess that's 1 out of 3 on our checklist.
I suppose it is an improvement from game 1 in that regard. However, Machi, they now get to have a couple of answers here. Where is this Irelia headed? That's one of them. And okay, the Nautilus does get picked up here, and looks like Likai, he wants to try his hands at wielding the Camille pick. And one of the things that Machi is really good at when it comes to these 1-3-1 compositions is they're so good at setting up flank angles and just choking you out and suffocating you from multiple directions. And this, while Ornn is going to help, it would not solve the issue that Aphelios is facing, which is he has no idea which direction he's aiming his guns at.
True. I like the, you mentioned the flanking potential for Machi. They could come in from 3 or 4 different angles, honestly. Gwen has been a surprisingly good pick against triple dive compositions, as we've seen in the PCS. Everyone just rushing into your needlework. You get so much regen, you get free snips all across the board. So I do like this last power pick coming in from Rust. Maybe that will be the difference maker here. On the side for Machi, still a very similar composition across the board, this time with even more familiar tools in the Camille. So they're still playing 1-3-1 into flanking and diving. On the other hand, it's all about protect Lil V again from J Team.
I don't even know if it's protect Lil V. I think it's just we'll use Lil V as bait and just allow rest to go forth and hopefully carry us 1v5 manner. I mean, they have slightly better lanes this time around, given the fact that they do have that Gwen up top side will skill a lot better than the Camille was given the opportunity to do so in the previous game. And slight improvement, but I still have to give advantage to Machi because they've been handed their composition without any contest.
Yeah, you are exactly right on that one. I'm kind of surprised Machi gets this sort of draft here. This is essentially their bread and butter draft. Well, J-Team are going for something that is... It has worked against the lower part of the bracket, not against the top side of the bracket. So we'll see if J-Team can pull off a miracle here. Can they actually break their Nemesis curse against Machi? We'll find out this game, as Machi is currently 1-0 ahead in the series. About to head on to the Rift right here. Just take a look at the level 1s. We do have some possible shenanigans coming in from the Machi side. 2 very hard stuns available. Actually 3 if they do want to go for it. But I usually don't see that much of a commitment. Machi has been a team that throughout the playoffs has been trying to do some sneaky stuff, especially on the top side. And they will be heading towards that with a hook shot. And Nautilus right behind them. Hana falls for it. Is going to get tagged up right here, and I hate to be right. I really don't like being right, but come on, Hana. Machi, this is not the first time Machi's done this, okay? Like, I'm a little bit disappointed.
Surprise, surprise. J-Team, their struggles against the top half of
Minions have
the
spawned.
standings, it looks like they're going to continue here, as they are already put behind. Gemini put in a beautiful... Do we really need to see this replay?
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Well,
I can't believe
regardless,
Hana
J
walked
Team.
into auto attack him. Like, what the hell are you doing? They have double hard CC. Like we do not have like a screen that is delayed. Okay, so I was just reading off the champion abilities there. I didn't know what was gonna happen, but watching the tape and watching the champions, I kind of knew that was a possibility. Apparently, Hana missed the memo. What? Why would you trade auto attacks? What? Oh god. All right.
Oh Lord. J Team fans are not having a good day. It was not a great game one, even though it was back and forth. Too much put onto Lil V's poor back, and he just couldn't stand under the pressure, unfortunately. This time around, we saw, okay, they decided to opt into red side once again in game 2. What do they have different? And it looks like not a whole lot different, as the drafts remained fairly similar. And now, when we talk about, okay, well, they can still execute better around this Lee Sin LeBlanc. There's definitely room to improve there. Well, now Lee Sin has died once. And while he doesn't miss out on EXP, it also means that Gemini on this Diana does come online faster. So problems all around coming into just the start of game number 2.
Yeah, definitely not how you want things to go. As we look at the jungle camps here, it is Gemini just being very comfortable in mirroring the start from Hana, going from top to bottom right here. Not really that afraid of running into Lee Sin now that Lee Sin was put behind. In the meantime, I'm going to be taking a short look at the items here. Jimmy not going to go for the Corrupting Potion, just a full defensive build against Mission early on. So this LeBlanc should have right of way. Let's see if they can use that. And also in the top lane, Lee Kai did use that hookshot level 1 early, so he had a very weak start to lane, and Rest is punishing him accordingly. He does have that ignite too, so
Yep.
It could be really dangerous for Lee Kai. If he goes in, then they could just blow him up here.
The ignite is going to be key up top side to try and just focus down Lee Kai, make sure this lane phase is not a good time for him. And Lee Kai, interestingly enough, even though he is essentially a Camille one trick, at least in my mind, he kind of plays everything like Camille. He actually
That's
hasn't
very
played a
true.
whole lot of Ignite Camille coming into playoffs. And, if Rest continues to just try and play for lane, that could be a big difference as far as improving J-Team's
We
chances.
do have Jimian starting up onto
Okay.
Mission, but
No Ignites, though.
yeah, I feel like Mission actually gets the better side of the trade. He was gonna TP back into lane anyway and managed to take half the HP off of Jimian. We'll still stick around, giving Jimian a roam here. Let's see if Jimian can make some use out of it. Nah, he's just gonna shoot a
go for
recall.
Yeah. Make sure he recovers all his mana bar. So he did have to expend a lot of that on the wave. And of course, not holding the Corrupting Potion means he is going to run into some mana issues. And over in this bot side, Lil V still having a good time in lane. That wasn't the problem last game. It was after the lane phase. So we need to continue to see this J-Team bot lane perform in the lane phase, but more importantly, be able to really snowball whatever leads that they do get into the team fight phase, especially now that Woody is on a little bit more durable engaged champion.
Rel, I think, is much sturdier front line. We saw Woody being taken out almost instantly in most of the engages last game. This time, that's not going to be the case. Taking a look at Hana's build, he's coming out with a pickaxe here. You know, we have seen a lot of just double ruby crystal starts from the Lee Sins, but he's definitely on the snowball path this time around. Let's see if he can finally find a target. I think that was the biggest thing missing from J-Team's draft last game was you draft Lee Sin LeBlanc, you kind of assume that you're going to get early kills. That's the whole purpose of drafting these two guys together. But it just didn't happen. So let's see if Ana could rectify that this game. So we'll go into the bot lane. Machi do not know about this. No vision on this section. Also, the jungle isn't here. So J-Team could potentially just take an open Drake.
Definitely turning their attention over to Dragon, as Gemini is going to show in that mid lane. Could just be a rotation over to mid to try and match.
And so far, Jimian has been doing okay in lane, even has the CS lead. So, you know, Aurelia against LeBlanc can't really do much until that level 6, unless you really hard outplay the LeBlanc. But we have Jimian with a lot of help coming in from Gemini, is able to coast through the laning phase quite well. No plates given. And also in the meantime, Gemini does hold the CS lead. So if we're talking about the pre-6 Lee Sin LeBlanc combo, I still think that's kind of a fail for J-Team.
Yeah, I would agree. There's not a whole lot of skirmishing coming out from this J-Team draft at all. And at the very least, they have better scaling up top side. And they still have this Aphelios. It really just comes down to, all right, which hyper carry do you want to target? Do you want to target the Aphelios and allow the Gwen to run wild? Or are you going to allow the opposite, where you try and focus on Gwen and realize you can't, and Aphelios is able to get a lot of extra free space because of that and deal copious amounts of damage. And that's really what it comes down to. So it's, slightly better draft, but at the same time, Machi, there's just so much damage coming into this mid game. Once mid game hits, once these first items come through, you get Gore Drinker, you get a Divine Sunder or Triforce onto Lee Kai, you can just delete champions so readily with these two solo laners.
Gemini is still starting up on the Herald despite the TP coming in from Mission. Machi do have this angle onto Mission. They find him immediately and he just goes down before doing any damage whatsoever. Mission once again not contributing in the team fights. Machi now with the 5v4. Ashe is caught up in the mid lane and Rest has done a lot of damage. Great miss coming through and Rel goes in for the triple knockup. Lil V is going to pick up one kill. Hana going in for the second. And despite Mission not being there, the rest of J-Team do hold their ground. Great gameplay from the Gwen. Going in a little bit too deep as Koala will have the turnaround. Herald also secured by J-Team.
And the big thing there was the fact that Atlan, he was pretty much zoned off from that fight. Couldn't do a whole lot to contribute to his team's success there. And Lil V was able to make it to the fight. And when things aren't as organized and it's about who gets there first, Aphelios is going to bring a little bit more here. As actually Atlan was in mid lane, but yeah, he tries to walk up. I don't know what happened to Atlan there, but he does have to expend the flash. Yeah, so he ends up losing inside track onto the fight. Lil V and Woody, as a result, are able to get to that rotation. And Atlan, I mean, okay.
He tries to steal the Herald and then has to flash out. That was honestly pretty bizarre from Atlan. I felt like he could have rotated quite easily. Like, you saw Lil V and Woody actually backed off after Mission died, but Atlan didn't make the trip.
Yeah, he just didn't leave fast enough, so by the time he thought about leaving, he didn't have the wave in a spot where he could make that rotation without J-Team with their AD carry support duo being able to contest him, and they'd easily be able to flash onto him. And yeah, it's just not great footwork there coming in from Atlan, but J-Team given a bit of a lifeline here, as they of course did start out pretty poorly, but finding 2 kills in that skirmish helps them out a great deal, especially getting the kill onto the Gwen. Now has Riftmaker completed here. This is a massive power spike for this champion, especially when Lee Kai doesn't have his mythic completed at all.
I do have a 3v2 happening into the bot side here. Koala very cleverly does scout out the back, so Hana not able to basically get onto the backside and maybe kick someone out underneath their own tower. It's just going to back off. Gemini also shadowing him very closely. But, you know, totally agree with you. That top lane is where we have to look right now because I think Rest has got this matchup in his pocket right now. So holding on to his wave, Mission might be joining him. And we're going to get a very different game from Lee Kai.
It's going to involve a lot of creative footwork coming in from Lee Kai in this top lane. Of course, he is on a very, very comfortable champion. So he should be able to find those flanks, but if he's put really far behind, Rest can easily just set himself up in more of these 1v1 scenarios. So even if Lee Kai is trying to look for a flank, if he gets marked by Rest, he'll never have impact in these fights because Rest will just chunk him out way too much before the fight even starts, and that will be second dragon conceded. Lee Kai's trying to bait out a fight.
Well, that was pretty obvious, if you ask me. There's no way Rest... There is no way Rest falls for this, right?
He's got way too good top lane senses, right? Right?
Okay, he's fine. Rest knows what he's doing. Like, let's
Wave's
be honest, Lee Kai made that super obvious. There's no way Rest doesn't know the jungler's there.
Yeah, and now the gig's up. And also now Hana's here.
Yeah, Hana turned to bring this game to a close here. I think investing in Rest definitely the correct option to go for. And he doesn't care, he's just going to show himself. Like, I got right away here. Our two champions are stronger at this conjunction, so we're just going to go for it.
But Jimian making the rotation, he's actually going to be first when it comes to mid-rotation. But at the same time, it's Woody that'll be rotating over first in that support role here. And it's just going to be those, I think it was 3 plates up top lane. And after that, not much else. Play fizzles out, and J-Team, I mean, it's still a victory for them, being able to get those, get that extra gold. They don't lose a whole lot for that play. Still able to farm all 3 lanes, and deny Lee Kai more farm.
Don't really think the dive is there. Jimian able to, wow, great footwork. Dodges out on both chains and the Q. You got to give it to them. Like, these young players, they've got some dexterity out there. J-Team's trying to search for a very opportunistic pick in the top side. I don't think it was really going to happen because we did have Koala roaming up there, and there's also a teleport from Jimian. But they tried, didn't find it. Now Woody is the one getting caught out in the middle of nowhere. Can he make it over the wall? Does find himself across. Jimian is still going to chase him. Lands a second Q, and goodbye, Woody. Just, that was a little bit flimsy of a play right there. Thought he would be able to get away, but unfortunately Hana wasn't with him. Lily was not with him, and he goes down.
That's one of those plays that you think you can pull off, but enough on that.
Oh, there you have a dive coming out. Lee Kai able to get the hook shot away, which still should be an open top lane tower. Not enough minion waves for J-Team to really take this, but just in a little while they should be able to turn back and secure first tower. In the meantime, Machi Esports, they're trying to race for it, but they are very far off. So should definitely just be Rest picking up all this extra gold. He is an absolute monster coming into this mid game.
Rest is an absolute juggernaut here. 30 CS up, has 3 plates as well as now that first brick gold. They're going to turn their attention towards this Rift Herald, and this early game, I don't know how much of it was contributed by this Lee Sin LeBlanc duo, but at the very least, this last pick Gwen is paying off massive dividends.
If I'm to be completely frank, I don't think LeBlanc Lee Sin really did much. They did not snowball in the early game, but
I'm trying to, you know, give the J-Team fans a little bit of positivity here.
Yeah, they are winning, so I mean, it's like, if you want to go with results-based analysis, then I guess it was fine. But to be honest, I think they could get a much better draft going for something different, and they did keep Gemian and Gemini behind. So it's kind of hard to say, like, in terms of a vacuum, what exactly they accomplished. It doesn't show up in the stat line, but it could be they just took away Machi's potential. Woody once again, ooh, but the arrow tips him off.
Yeah, this time around doesn't quite fall for it. And Gemian, look at this man's scoreline. He's pretty strong himself. Doesn't have the plates, but it does have the CS. 40 CS advantage over his mid lane counterpart. And now everything's set up in this mid lane.
We have Gemini flashing in with the Moonfall already. They do have the inside track with Koala. Mission does not have the TP to come back in. Hana gonna go into the team fight, but he's way too late. This is a 5v4. Mission is still not here. When he goes back in, can Gwen find something? Rest gets 1 kill to equalize, and Lilvi is opening up, but he takes a hook to the face. Will he survive? He goes down too. Gemini finds the kill onto the back line. Rest will clean up at the end, though. He's got way too much sustain and healing. A 3 for 2, excuse me, in favor of J-Team at the end.
And Rest just absolutely mops up this fight here. Just came down to the fact, hey, this Aphelios not really built for damage. He's just a big distraction here, and the real carry is Rest in this fight. Hana gets a, we don't talk about that, but it prevents Gemini from getting a big Moonfall at the start of, or having more impact in this fight. And Lee Kai goes in, but he's a 0 item Camille. Maybe he had Divine Thunder completed for that fight, but that doesn't give you a lot of team fight stats. Rest on this Gwen is much more durable because of the mist, because of that healing Omnivamp coming in from Riftmaker, and the difference is just clear.
That should have been a straight win for Machi. They had inside track, they kill Hana, the turn for Drake, but as you mentioned, Lee Kai goes kind of crazy in that team fight. Just flies onto Rest, and Rest is like, okay, man, this is what you want to do. He just cuts him to ribbons, and that's kind of the end of that one. So J-Team going to walk away with another objective, putting that Ocean Soul on a 23-minute timer. Machi is going to have to win a big team fight in the back end there. We're going to have some gold transferred over to Mission, make sure he stays afloat. And of course, the biggest Fed member is still Rest in that top lane. 3-0 and 2 on this Gwen right now. Machi have to send a 2-man against him, and Lee Kai is being put back onto farm mode. It's like, well, you're just too far behind. Try to find something to do.
And the big issue coming in for Machi is that a lot of these fights are actually happening too fast. And while they are able to get the rotations there faster and get the numerical advantage, they don't have the multiple flank angle setups that they usually do when it comes to setting up for dragons or barons around these objectives.
I have Nightstar dropping right here, so I will be talking here for just a little while, solo casting my way. We do have J-Team now, I think, in a very strong position, and whenever Machi is being put behind, their default status is to go for these death brushes. J-Team not going to be falling in victim for that, though. Rest very careful about the wave manipulation. He's already sitting on his second item. He just wants to stay put, wait 3 minutes out, go for that Ocean Soul, and that should mean that they just win 1-3-1 from there on forward. So I expect a pretty quiet couple of minutes, and hopefully we get Nightstar back. We are casting on different continents. It's the beauty of remote casting and technology.
It's both a beauty and a nightmare at the same time.
Oh, welcome back, Nightstar. There we go.
Yeah, as J-Team are setting up for that death brush. Machi, I mean, they technically shouldn't be tempted to face check, as there's still 2.5 minutes before Dragon comes through, so now's a perfect time to take stock of these items. Okay, just kidding. No time to take stock of items. They've taken away the items from me, and now we're just going to go ARAM.
Yeah, we're not taking stock of anything. We're going straight in for your towers, man. And this is the exact same play we've seen earlier, but now Machi is getting caught. They don't finish off the tower. Massive damage being done into the backline. Gemini goes down, and it will be Koala down as well. Atlan, the only one alive, but he's got nothing to do left right there. Machi overextend, and they lay their cards bare. J-Team just destroy them, trading 0 for 4.
And once again, it comes down to the fact that, hey, if Machi don't come in from multiple angles and make it difficult for this Aphelios to figure out where to direct his auto attacks, well, it becomes so damn easy. And the reason why this Machi draft was supposed to be so good was because they are so familiar in setting up these 1-3-1 flank angle setups. But in this game number 2, they've really just confused themselves. They're really just spinning themselves around in a chair, and they're the ones dizzy, and J-Team, they're just watching them spin around in the chair going, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it's, do you want to get out of your chair? Are you okay? Are you feeling the vertigo? I was a very half-hearted attempt from Machi. They didn't use the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It was a pure ultimate zone away, which makes herself very weak in the ensuing team fight. And Woody just stepped up to the plate. He's like, yeah, sure, like, if you're gonna hand me this team fight, I will take it. Also, Hana had some great plays in that one. The Dragon's Rage kicked Gemini out, and then kicked Atlan too. So,
yeah,
beautiful stuff coming in from J-Team. I expected much more decisiveness from Machi. Like, that's definitely an okay play, but you need to commit to it. They didn't really do either, and now J-Team are sitting with a massive lead. Just a reminder, J-Team has gone down to Machi in the PCS era 3-0 both times. This is their chance to break the curse, and they can do so with this Ocean Soul. We are going to get the team fight. J-Team starting up the objective already. Likai on the flank, and the hook goes down, but the arrow doesn't really find the backline, only going on to Hana. Mission Coppin back in for a big chunk of damage right here. And the Dragon Soul is about to go down, but no, Gemini finds the steal and keeps J-Team alive. However, on the ensuing damage, J-Team finds 3 kills back. Just way too much firepower. Atlan has to flash away. Likai now being caught up. He gets kicked around, gets the slow from the tactical sweep, however. Atlan with the red buff. Can he make it out? No, the chains target him in the end. J-Team get 4 for 1.
4 for 1. Unfortunately, they won't be able to end the game right off of that, but they're going to be able to break the base. We'll be able to get this mid lane tower. We'll be able to get this mid lane inhib, and regardless of that dragon not going into their favor, they do get the 4 kills afterwards, 2 towers and an inhib. So overall, a big win for J-Team. And once again, it's them not setting up these flank angles. Likai, oh, where's the pressure onto this Aphelios pick? They're just saying, all right, we'll walk in at you now. We're coming now. Do you see us? We're about to engage now, all 5 of us. And then J-Team are just like, okay, anytime. Yeah. And then they just punch him in the gut.
That felt like one of those Civil War reenactments where it's like a full frontal assault up a hill against a bunch of guys underneath like a stone wall or something. It was kind of bizarre. Yeah, I felt like that was a Gemini, you're going to sacrifice for the team, the rest of us are just going to take a vacation sort of play. They didn't really have much chance of winning the ensuing team fight. Sticked around for it anyway. Like, I don't know. I felt like they gave Gemini way too much support when all they needed was moral support. It's like, get the steal, let's get out.
Yeah, it was either get the steal, get out, or if you wanted to commit to that play, you needed those flanks to come in from those solo laners. And while Likai kind of expectedly hasn't been able to perform on this Camille pick because of how much focus was tossed into his lane.
Oh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow does go down, but it does land on the support here, though. And Jimmy now in the backline, maybe trying to find the perfect angle like you were mentioning so many times. But Jimmy is just about to go down. He pops the Vanguard's edge, and Rest goes godlike. Gemini into the backline, gets a 3-man move ball, but it's not enough. Still almost full HP as Lil V stands his ground and just rains down hell on the heads of Machi. I guess right now, not even the flanks are enough to save Machi anymore.
Yeah, it's just too little, too late. I was going to bring up right before that fight broke out just how little impact G-Man has had on these fights. He hasn't gone for a flank at all in this game. And he's the one that's been getting the resources. He's been getting the farm. And unfortunately, hasn't been able to actually utilize this Irelia pick. And they will go down in game number 2. And now the ball is in Machi's court as it's up to them to figure out how to either play their composition, relearn it, or figure out how to draft around this Gwen possibility.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in game 3, but congratulations to J-Team as they finally break the curse. We have a series on our hands. No longer a one-sided affair in this specific head-to-head. I'm really happy that J-Team has finally, moved past just falling to Machi 0-3 over and over again. And I'd love to admit that we were wrong, In the draft, we thought that maybe going for the same draft was a little bit suspect. I still maintain that neither the Aphelios or the LeBlanc Lee Sin really there weren't the pivotal factors there, but just Rest getting the counter pick was enough to take them over the hill.
Yeah, the only difference was just Russ getting a champion that he could carry with rather than the Camille. Camille's great for 1-3-1 setups, dominate the 1v1. But the PCS teams haven't really fully committed to 1-3-1 setups. They usually just use it as a bridge to then get to that next objective fight. And we see here just getting a Gwen that does so much more team fight damage is just way more important, unless if you have some sort of stacking ultimates for the Camille, maybe like a Galio in that mid lane or in that support role to go in with the Camille to give that extra insurance. But you see here, while the Camille ult is great in smaller skirmishes, in a 5v5 setting, in the early mid game, she pops like a balloon the moment she goes in with ultimatum.
Yeah, and Camille really is not an early game teamfight champion. Lee Kai kind of threw his chances away in the early teamfight we saw, where honestly, they should have been able to just snowball that teamfight, but Lee Kai just went in for God knows what reason, it just dies. So we have seen this from him from time to time. He is still a very rookie player, but Rest showing up with the veterancy. 16,000 damage, 9k over his opposition, and everyone was held below 10k on Machi's side. They did not have any success in the team fights this time around.
Yeah, this time around, they weren't able to find the wombo. They also, again, just weren't able to find those flank angles that they are known to pull off. And as a result, this Aphelios got much more value than he should have. But more importantly, Rest against this 4 melee champion composition just free farmed them all day of the week.
You want to hear my prediction for game 3?
J-Team 3-1?
No, I'm thinking that I feel like Machi are probably not going to learn a lot from this game. They're just going to look at the early execution and said, wait a minute, we actually should have won that Herald fight. Personally, I feel like they should. We should have won that mid lane fight. They should have, but they didn't. So I'm actually predicting that we're going to see very similar drafts. However, Rest throwing the Gwen back into the mix is going to change a lot of calculations here. You have to respect the red side counter pick. Last pick for Rest in the top side, 7-0-7. Not a single death, perfect KDA, great kill participation. And this is really the breaking point of the matchup. We thought it was mainly going to be about Gemini plus Hana, but Rest is saying, hey, top lane is actually the key here.
Top lane, definitely one of the big matchups here. How do they deal with the Camille pick? It looks like for the side of J-Team, it's bringing out the Gwen. Gwen, surprisingly, a pick that hasn't shown up a whole lot during these PCS playoffs. And when you put it into the hands of such a, I would say, hyper carry top laner like Rest, who has the ability to carry his team 1v5 style, it's going to make a big difference, especially with how, again, that first phase went. It did not change, and you saw while it improved slightly, in game, it didn't feel a whole lot of a change from those 3 champs.
Yeah, we'll see which one actually comes out ahead. Who will be the Gwen killer? Who will be the bane of Camille as we head into Game 3 between J-Team and Machi Esports?